What's up, everybody? So Shogui right here, guys. I'm very in a good mood today, guys. And I want to tell you guys something. This week, today is April 4th, Saturday. Today is only Saturday. As you all know, we are in the ending period of Lent. Very busy, very busy day, very busy week, very busy period for me. And I'm going to take you guys straight to my chat. And beautiful things, I've really noticed some beautiful things on the chat lately. And I was not able to take any trade this week, guys. I was not able to take any trade. This video is going to be very fast, very sharp, because I am actually rushing right now. So as I was saying, I noticed some crazy things in the market this week. What was that? You know, guys, in the beginning of my videos, I told you guys this is the period we just started trading on the live market. Though we've been trading on the live market before, but now we are trying to be very much consistent with trading on the market, alright? Because that's the only way we can have some corrections to anything that we are doing on the market. In the market, I mean. So, guys, this is what I wanted to tell you guys. According to my trade, I used to tell you guys I used to wait for a break of the counter trend line, a break of a consolidation, a break below a minor support level, a minor resistance level before I enter my trade. But I have noticed that those kinds of entries are usually confirmed to be very good for me, but they have a situation of always increasing my stop loss to become a very bigger stop loss. What do I mean? The thing is, there's something I do tell you people in my video. I say I work on supply and demand, but after the reaction of my supply and demand, I used to still wait for a counter trend line break, alright, or a break of a minor level, a minor support level, a minor resistance level, like I have said. Guys, those things usually make my stop loss higher, and sometimes when I see the breakout is usually so strong that where I was looking out to enter, the market goes beyond that and goes so far that my stop loss becomes so big and reduces my risk to reward. And in that case, I decided to check previous times that this thing has already happened to me, and discovered that this happens after the reaction on my level of supply or demand. So, guys, I'm trying to unify a strategy, or to unify a strategy and to create a strategy whereby I can be taking my trades exactly from the supply level or my demand level, guys. Now let me take you guys straight into the chart and see the ones that happened this week. I was not able to take them, but because of the momentum that was taken away from my supply and demand movement. Let me take you guys to BTC. Now this was the BTC one that I noticed. The BTC one I noticed first was about some weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, about 3 weeks ago. Yeah. What was the trade I was looking at on BTC? Very simple. BTC was to come into, now this new strategy I'm looking at. It is very you might not even need to be using your trend line level, your trend line all the time. Just use the trend line for guide. But this supply level can work in hand with Fibonacci. Once it's in play with Fibonacci, I advise you guys to just take the trade once you see the entry, and I'll be telling you guys how you can do that right about now. Now let me give you guys a clue on the strategy I am trying to create. Now, if you notice this is what in my resistance level, and this my resistance level is also in accordance with my supply zone. Yes, guys, I have decided to draw my supply zone with this color. So this color, anytime you see this color on my chart, it is determined as my supply zone. Alright. Now I discovered that this place was in conjunction with my Fibonacci. Now when two or more points are having conjunctions together, they always have a strong holding point. There will be a strong level, a strong price at that region. There is going to be something that is going to be very strong that will prevent the market from breaking below or breaking above that region. So in this case, my Fibonacci as well as my supply zone was working hand in hand to reject the price to continue going back to the downside. Now in this case, I was actually waiting for a break of my counter trend line, which was this trend line, this one here. And let me remove this one. Let me distract again. This one is not there. This was the counter trend line. So my trade was a break of the counter trend line before I enter my trade, alright, and a test of the resistance of this trend line. But what did the market do? The market only came into my supply zone, tapped from it, and showed what this is an evening star pattern. Definitely, if I had entered this trade beautifully for me, this is an evening star pattern on the daily time frame, but I will not wait for that kind of thing on the daily time frame. What I would have waited for is very simple. This is looking like a pinned hammer, reverse hammer from the supply zone on my 4-hour time frame, which is a good one for entries. But I would love to see a bearish engulfing candle to the downside. Definitely, I'll wait for a bearish engulfing candle. Let's say I've started using the supply and demand entry strategy. But in this type of case, this is what I would have done. I would have seen these candles that are very much consolidating, because if I go to my 30 minutes or my 1 hour, say consolidation, I'll just wait for a breakout. So make sure I see this bearish engulfing candle to the downside, I'll just take my entries right about this area, which is here, and then my stop losses come above here, and then my profits will be all the way to this green bar, looking like a 1:2, which is already 1:3 risk to reward. And definitely at this trend line level, last when I can now use my trend line level. Definitely at this trend line level, once the market comes to this my trend line level, I will definitely be looking to remove a reasonable amount of my profit, which is around this area. So once the market gets here, this is looking like a 1:2 for me, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, this is looking like a 1:2. I will remove about, let me say, like 50 or 40% of my profit around this area. Set stop loss, pass break even, and leave the rest to run. And again, as that is going on, I can see another trade playing out here, which is exactly as the demand and supply zone in between, which is what, yeah. Now, if I'm to draw a demand and supply zone again around this level, there's another demand and supply, there's another supply zone playing out around here, which is here. You guys can see the rejection. Definitely, if I draw my Fibonacci again from swing low to swing high, you can see what it is in conjunction with my Fibonacci. Definitely, market came into this place. I saw this push to the downside. Definitely, another entry around this area will be good for me. Then this place again, which is the 100% retracement, will be my first level target. Stop losses coming below the supply zone, right about here, looking like a 1:2 to reward ratio. Then the market came in here. I took another partial profit because this is actually my main profit level. So definitely this is another trade for me if I are taking it. And as the market came again, market came down into our new supply zone again. If we draw our Fibonacci from swing low to swing high, you can see it's in conjunction with the Fibonacci. Then after this bearish engulfing candle to the downside, we take another entry right about here. Stop losses coming all the way below here. And then my first TP definitely at the 100% retracement, which is right about here. Market very close to my 100% retracement. I've definitely removed small profits from here, which is about 40 or 50% profit. So remove 50, I would have made a lot of money from this trade. Alright. So with this kind of strategy, I've showed you guys how it works on BTC. Now let me take you guys to another pair that it works on through the week. I'm coming back to XSPACE. Yeah, on GBP the same thing happened. But for GBP it started earlier. What was that? The supply and demand strategy started earlier, which was where market was giving lower highs. Then this was the demand and supply. This was the supply level right about here. So market came into the supply level, created a double top, and then pushed to the downside. Definitely after this first rejection, definitely I won't lie to you. Definitely I would have entered here. If I was to already start using this is where I would have taken entries from here, and this place would be my first level profit. Definitely once I see this pin into this area, I would have taken a substantial amount of my profit around here. Then I'll set my stop loss to break even. Therefore, my trade on this trade, let's say I took it, would have been stopped at break even. Alright, and I would have been left with a reasonable amount of profit on this trade. Then I see this movement to the upside, and I see this consolidation around it. What will I do is very simple. In this case, I cannot draw my major level around this area, which is I wait for a breakout. Definitely I saw this breakout. Then I can take entries right around here. Stop losses come at this consolidation area, which is around this area. Then my take profit will be all the way here. And this is looking like a 1:2 risk to reward ratio. Very beautiful trade. Then I can do it again, which is looking like something that is happening frequently in the market. What's the next one again? Then I can draw it all the way from here, swing high to swing low, which is Fibonacci conjunction with my supply zone. Then definitely you see it push to the downside. Definitely I will enter around this area. Stop losses coming I am above the supply zone. Then take profit all the way to this area, looking like a 1:2 risk reward for me. And I can see it again happening again and again. This is just last week, guys. Last week and a week before last week. Definitely I can see it again happening around here again. Fibonacci, but this guy didn't go straight into my Fibonacci, but I can see another supply zone lining up around here, which is making it reasonable for us to enter our supply zone. Now this kind of trade is smaller stop loss. I have to go to a lower time frame to look for my entries to enter this beautiful trade. Now I can see this guy came into this area. I would have taken my trades all the way from here. My trade will be from here. Stop loss coming all the way here. Then definitely market to roll my stop loss in a go down. Then at the end of the day, I'll be in what? I'll be in beautiful profit. Alright. Now that is what I'm teaching you guys with my supply and demand strategy on GBP which worked out very nicely. And again, it happened again on AUD which is right about it. AUD I've been monitoring it for a while, and this is it happening on AUD around this area right about it. Market came into 50 fib level, which was all the way from swing low to swing high. Swing low to swing high, 50 fib level right about here. Market came market came into my 50 fib level, because this to the downside as a result of this supply zone right around it. So market came into my 50 fib level, which is in conjunction with another supply zone lining up around this area. Market came there, pinned it, and then I've taken entries around this area right about here. Stop process coming above the supply zone, and a push to the downside, which is going to be all the way here. And I can see the trade playing out again. They push to the downside. Let me remove this guy to show you guys clearly. Another 50 fib level in accordance with what? With supply zone right about here. If you want to see it clearly, come back to my 1 hour time frame. You can see that this is a supply level right about here. Now let me tell you guys how you draw your supply level. If you see the market going higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. For example, this is where you should draw as your first supply zone, which is this level right about here. Should be your first demand or supply zone for an uptrend. For an uptrend, and this will be your second supply zone right about here. Clone, good, clone. Now clone. Okay, good. Now for a downtrend, let's say the market is going lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. Now for you to look for another entry on this kind of pair, you'll be looking for something like this. This will be your first supply zone, and then this will be your second supply zone. So I advise you guys to be having at least 2 supply zones in case one breaks, the other will surely hold, or it might even throw in between. Just make sure that if you want to choose the one that can be very strong between your 2 supply zones, you now have to make use of your Fibonacci. Like for the example, this one, you can just draw your Fibonacci from swing low to swing high, and look for the one that will hold. In this case, the Fibonacci is looking to hold around this area right about here. Alright, so just look for the one that is closest to the Fibonacci, and that one will be the most likely one that will hold more. Now for next week, let me show you what I am looking at for my trade setups next week. Okay, for BTC, I think I'll actually be sitting on my hands very shortly on BTC, because for BTC, and now guys, after the supply zone has actually given you profits, and then you now see a break of the counter trend line, do well to enter again for another trade, because our normal entry strategy is the counter trend line break. So do well to enter for that trade as well. You feel me? So every trade, it all goes. So for this trade, supply zone has been triggered. Definitely I'm waiting for a break of my counter trend line, which is around this area right about here. If I can see a break of my counter trend line, I can look for more entries. But what I can see here is actually this again. I can see market is doing what here? 1, 2, 3. I'm seeing a supply zone lining up around this area, which is around this area. I can see supply zone lining around this area. 1 hour time frame. Shit, I removed the wrong thing. Okay, can see supply zone lining up around this area about here. Okay, good. Now for my entries on for BTC, for me, I don't think I'll enter this trade. Let me tell you guys why. But I can see a supply zone lining up around that area, but I won't enter this trade. Why will I not enter this trade? Let me take you guys back to the 4 hour time frame and tell you guys the main reason why I won't enter this trade. Why? Because this market is having a little uptrend and it's looking to retrace. And this market just got very close to the 100% retracement. Definitely, if I'm taking this first trade here, I won't be looking for another trade in this place around this area. Now, what am I looking for is this. I want to see a break of the counter trend line. Then I can start looking for entries on BTC. So for now, guys, just leave BTC alone to do BTC things. You feel me? Just leave BTC alone. So definitely, if you see a daily candle close on Monday, then you can look for entries around this area right about here. But for now, leave BTC alone. SPX is actually playing around my supply zone, because you guys can see it now on my 4 hour time frame. This is the reason why I remove the yellow bar, is because I don't want to give me confusion here. Alright, because this yellow bar is actually valid. See, now for now, my supply zone is this color. My demand zone is common kind of ash very close to black. I don't know if you get me. Then my minor support level and my minor resistance level are represented with this yellow bar, and then my major support level and my minor and my major support level and my major resistance level represented with this blue bar right about here. So for now, this particular yellow support level is looking to be invalidated already, and I'm expecting it not to affect anything right about here. So what am I waiting for on XPX? For XPX, honestly, I should have entered from here. Alright, I would have entered from here. Now definitely, let me tell you guys something. Definitely, I would have entered from here as well. If I had entered from here, I know some people say, I would have gotten back. But let me tell you something. In this kind of case, I have seen what I have a strategy, I have a plan that says once I reach 1:2, I remove partial profit. And I discovered that this my 1:2 risk to reward is actually in conjunction with something, which is my for 50 fib level. So it was the 50 fib level that actually affected this guy from going what further to the downside. Not just 50 fib level, but this level right about here, making it look like it wants to form a left shoulder edge and the right shoulder right about it. So definitely I would have removed about 50% of my profit here, said remaining to break even, and then I would have gotten stopped out of break even on this trade right about there. Now, for that being said, I will be looking for another entry right about here because this is looking like a double top 1-2 on my level. Alright, and not just that, this is also looking like a 50 fib level, which is looking well to hold all the way from here to here. Alright, now with that being said, for my entries right about here on Monday, probably Monday to Tuesday, I should be looking for a 4-hour candle close, bearish engulfing 4-hour candle close to the downside. Then definitely I should be looking for entries right around this area, stop losses coming here, and then my TP all the way to the downside, looking like a 1:4 reward. Alright, so this is going to be a beautiful trade for me if it plays out as I am expecting it to do. Alright, now that's the trade I am looking for in XPX. On GBP USD, for GBP USD, supply zones have been playing out very nicely. Now let me remove the supply zone right about here, and I'll tell you guys why I put this supply zone right about here. Alright, now for me on GBP USD, I'm making lower highs, lower lows. What I'm expecting GBP USD to do is this, very simple. I'm expecting GBP USD to rally all over to this green bar here, which is looking like 1.3051 level. And for this market to get to that level, it needs to break below this black bar right about here. Because this black bar is my middle range zone between my two major zones. Alright. Now, with that being said, on my 4-hour time frame, what am I looking for on my 4-hour time frame? I want GBP USD to give me a clear lower high. Once this clear lower high has been given, I can now draw supply zone right about here, and then another supply zone lining up right about this area. The market should give me something like this. Once I can see this, then I can draw my supply zone like that. Then I should say a rally to this supply zone, or probably this supply zone anywhere that I should be looking for entries to the downside. Alright. So that is what I'm looking for on my GBP USD trade for next week. Nothing bad, nothing hard, just easy as that. And for AUD right now, definitely if I'm taking this first supply zone trade and I take this second supply zone trade, definitely I will not be looking for a third trade in this same range right about here. What I'm waiting for AUD right now is to break and reach this my final TP. And then I should be looking for entries around this area right about here to push AUD to the downside. So definitely things related to what I'm seeing on GBP is actually what I'm also looking for on AUD USD. Alright. Because AUD USD for me, I told you guys there was a yellow bar here, and there was another yellow bar right about here. Okay, where's my clone? My clone. Clone. There was a yellow bar here right about this area, and I told you guys a breakout of this yellow bar to this downside, breakout of this yellow bar to this upside. So definitely this market is like a breakout retest and a push to the downside. So definitely I want to see a clear breakout of this green bar here. Then I know that we have a lot of spaces to the downside. Alright. Now, what else am I looking at? Euro USD, I don't think I'm looking for. Okay, on Euro USD, I'm actually looking for a very, very quick trade. For a quick trade on Euro USD, which is this. Definitely, Euro USD came into supply zone and started pushing all the way to the downside. And I'm looking for another supply zone entry that can push GBP USD to this downside right about here. So what am I looking for on GBP USD? I want GBP USD to give me a clear lower high. Then I can start seeing push to the upside, drop my Fibonacci to look for the strongest level, and then I'll push it to the downside. So what I'm looking for on Euro USD is something like this. I want this candle to come and push all the way here, create a lower high. I can see retracement to this level here, and then I can start pushing GBP USD to the downside. So definitely, if what I'm looking at should play out as I'm expecting it, I will react to it, and then look for entries around here. Stop losses come all the way around this area, and then my TP all the way to this side right about here. Very, very, very beautiful trade setup. All right, now. Without being said on Euro USD, so I'm actually looking for a trade on Euro USD, I'm looking for a trade on AUD, I'm looking for a trade on GBP USD and XPX right about now. For USD card, I'm actually not looking for a trade on USD card, but I'll tell you what I'm looking for on USD card. USD card, I'm actually looking for buy setups. You guys all know something. Let me remind you guys of something. For USD card, there's a trend line that was playing out from here like this. You guys know about that trend line, right? And as well, I also drew another trend line playing out from here like so. Good. Now for AUD USD, for USD card I mean, there was a supply zone here. Okay, let me change this thing to supply zone. Supply zone. Good. Now there was a supply zone right around this area. Market was supposed to respect the supply zone very nicely, but because the XY is bullish, USD card will definitely be what? Be looking very much bullish. So what am I looking for on USD card? I'm expecting USD card to come into this next supply zone right about here. So since this card, and again, the trend line has been broken. Since the trend line has broken, it's looking to me as what? A change of what? A change of trade, a breakout, a retest, and what? A push to the upside. So what am I looking for on USD card for the meantime? I'm expecting USD card to rally all the way to this green level, which is 1.4860. And how am I looking for my entries? I can remove this inner trend line for now. Definitely. So for my entries, I'm expecting AUD USD to give me what? A third touch of the trend line. How? But I'll not be depending on the trend line like I have said. I'm expecting AUD USD. I'll be sorry, I'm saying AUD USD. I'm expecting USD to give me a higher high, something like this. Then this my demand zone. Like I said, this is the color of my demand zone. So this is my first demand zone, and probably will be a second demand zone around this level right here. Probably I may still take this guy to the upside. So depending on how USD card does, I'll know where to plot my demand zones, and I'll look for entries probably by next week as well. Alright. But mind you, USD card can actually start coming to the downside because let me tell you why USD card can come to the downside. The XY is at a major level. If this major level is very strong enough to push the XY to the downside and start pushing all the way to the downside. So those are the trades I'm looking at. So before I can take any trade, I will definitely be watching the XY, because if the XY is very much bullish, then those my trade setups should actually play very well nicely. But if the XY is bearish and comes all the way down here, breaks below this trend line level, and I start coming down, definitely I'm very flexible. Like I have said, I will go back to my analysis on all the pairs I have analyzed and start looking for trades to the upside, because most of them are I'm looking for sales. So I'll start looking for a trade on to the upside, and for my USD card, I'm looking for trades to the downside. Alright, so that is how beautiful and simple my strategies are, and is anyone. Guys, I'm tired, honestly. English wants to kill me. Very, very tired. Where's water? I want to drink water. But anyways, guys, that was what I have for you guys today. Peace out.